I'm Adrian Seet, and this is Nightline, the top stories. PM announces 50 million ringgit aid to flood-hit Johor. And MACC conducts more raids, including on banks in international scam Syndicate probe. Thanks for joining us. The Meteorological Department, Met Malaysia, has issued a warning of strong winds and rough seas in the waters of the South China Sea up until next Monday. Met Malaysia Director General Muhammad Hilmi Abdullah said, based on the weather model analysis, the strong winds have the potential to cause continuous rain in the east of the peninsula as well as in the west and central Sarawak. He said a continuous rain warning has been issued for the affected areas until Saturday. A rise in the sea level is also expected in the waters of Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang and East Johor, posing a risk of seawater flooding along the coast. The National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, has also issued a preparedness notice for the possibility of flash floods within a duration of 12 hours. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riyatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah has ordered the government to conduct a detailed study to reduce and address the flood risks. His Majesty said that short and long-term solutions such as flood mitigation projects and efforts to deepen shallow rivers are necessary due to frequent flooding.
Kalau tengok pada jangka panjang, saya harap projek-projek atau program-program tebatan banjir ini perlu dikaji dengan teliti, dan dalam pada itu juga sungai-sungai, khususnya Sungai Pahang, mungkin buat satu kajian yang lebih terperinci supaya dapat didalamkan.
Al-Sultan Abdullah said the most important thing is to implement effective projects in order to prevent flooding. His Majesty said this is also subject to small rivers and drains that are not well maintained, where rubbish is thrown arbitrarily, leading to them being blocked, which may be the cause of the flooding. Al-Sultan Abdullah said this while visiting and presenting donations to flood victims at the Kampung Baru Sungai Cedong Temporary Relief Centre in Maran, Pahang on Friday. He was accompanied by Raja Permaisuri Agong, Tunku Haja Aziza Amina Maimuna Iskandaria. Pahang Menteri Besar Dato Sri Wan Rosdi Wan Ismail was also present. In addition, Al-Sultan Abdullah also wanted those who were ordered to evacuate immediately to comply with the instruction, apart from always being aware of the safety of their children and other family members and maintaining cleanliness in the relief centre. In other news, the federal government will be channeling 50 million ringgit immediate flood assistance to Johor, says Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim. The Prime Minister said the allocation concerned would be used to help flood victims as well as for other urgent needs within the state.
50 juta segera untuk Johor, untuk bersungai dan untuk bantu mangsa banjir dan apa-apa keperluan yang segera. Dan Bapa Menteri turun hari ini dan esok sebahagian lagi, dan saya akan atur dalam masa singkat.
Dato Sri Anwar said this to reporters after performing Friday prayers at the University Putra Malaysia UPM Mosque. On the 5th day of the floods, the situation is becoming more critical, with the number of flood victims continuing to rise. On Thursday, Deputy Prime Minister Dato Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi announced that 10 million ringgit in aid would be channeled to the National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, to buy essential goods and additional supplies for flood-affected residents in the state. Meanwhile, there is no need to declare a flood emergency in Johor following the floods which hit the state. Communications and Digital Minister Fahmi Fadzil said the decision was made at Friday's cabinet meeting. The minister said that the cabinet meeting also discussed matters related to the immediate action which the federal government needs to take to assist Johor.
Pada waktu ini, pandangan Jemaah Menteri lebih ke arah apa yang boleh kita lakukan segera sekarang, ya, dan yang diteliti aset-aset kerajaan mampu kita kerahkan dengan segera. Setakat ini di dalam Jemaah Menteri, keadaan di Johor kita sedang teliti dan akan bantu kerajaan negeri Johor untuk mengatasi masalah banjir. Kita doakan masalah ini akan dapat reda dalam masa yang terdekat, insya-Allah.
He said this at a media conference after the cabinet meeting in Putrajaya on Friday. He added that 90 telecommunications towers were affected by the disaster, and he had directed the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, MCMC, to promptly repair the facilities. In the meantime, the number of flood victims in Johor and Pahang continues to rise, while Negeri Sembilan, Melaka and Sarawak recorded a slight drop on Friday night. As of 10 p.m., the total number of evacuees in all 5 states stood at 36,809, an increase of 3,766 people compared to Thursday. According to the Info Bencana JKM portal, the number of evacuees in Johor rose to 33,469 people from 32,870 people at 4 p.m., housed in 242 relief centres. In Pahang, the number of flood evacuees also increased to 2,282 victims in 22 relief centres compared to 2,183 people in the afternoon. In Negeri Sembilan, the number of victims dropped to 860. The number of victims in Melaka decreased to 184 victims housed in 4 relief centres in Jasin and Alor Gajah. As for Sarawak, the number of victims also decreased to 14 victims, and all of them were housed in complex Sukan Julau Relief Centre in Syndicate.
Born and raised in the Pearl of the Orient, he served in a multinational corporation. The former student of Bukit Mertajam High School is also an author. In 2012, he was named as a young global leader of the Geneva-based World Economic Forum.
Hi, join me, Stephen Sim, as I share my views on the 2023 budget on Money Matters this Saturday at 5 p.m. only on TV3.
Thanks for staying with us. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, is intensifying Ops Tropicana to combat online investment scams masterminded by an international scam syndicate. Recently, 2 banks, a company registrar and a money changer premises suspected of colluding with the syndicate were raided by the anti-graft body. On February 21st, the MACC, together with the Immigration Department, busted the syndicate led by a British citizen through raids on 24 separate premises. The syndicate was believed to have been operating since 2019 and has netted nearly 200 million ringgit from victims in Australia and the United Kingdom. Last Tuesday, a luxury premise in the federal capital was raided with about 200 electronic devices, laptops, money counting machines and a sum of cash were seized. On Friday, the MACC's Anti-Money Laundering Division, led by Deputy Commissioner Dato Muhammad Zamri Zainul Abidin, conducted raids on 2 financial institutions and a company registrar in Kuala Lumpur in a follow-up to Ops Tropicana. The suspects were believed to have assisted the syndicate to establish companies and open bank accounts in Malaysia. This has led the syndicate to choose Malaysia as one of the countries for their fraudulent activities. Meanwhile, an MACC source reported that the MACC has also arrested a 41-year-old British man who is a member of the scam syndicate. It was believed that he was responsible for creating fake websites to persuade people to invest in non-existent investment opportunities. The suspect was arrested by a special team at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport last Tuesday upon arrival from Cambodia en route to the UK. The Kuala Lumpur High Court has freed former Prime Minister Dato Sri Mohammad Najib Tun Razak from a charge of alleged abuse of power by causing amendments to the 1MDB audit report. Co-accused and former 1MDB CEO Arul Kanda Kandasamy was also acquitted of a charge of abetting Dato Sri Najib in the commission of the offence. Justice Muhammad Zaini Maslan held that the prosecution had failed to establish a prima facie case against Dato Sri Najib under the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC Act 2009. The trial began on November 18, 2019. The prosecution closed its case on September 7, 2022, after calling 16 witnesses, including the late Tan Sri Ali Hamzah, former Chief Secretary to the government. The other witnesses who took the stand were former Auditors General Tan Sri Amrin Buang and Tan Sri Madinah Mohamad, former 1MDB Chairman Tan Sri Muhammad Bakar Saleh, and former National Audit Department Audit Director Saadatul Nafisah Bashir Ahmad. The court had also previously allowed the prosecution's bid to call Arukanda to testify on its behalf. Dato Sri Najib was accused of abusing his power to obtain immunity from legal action and causing amendments to the finalised 1MDB audit report prior to its tabling before the Public Accounts Committee PAC. Arul Kanda is accused of abetting him in the commission of the alleged offence. The offence was allegedly committed at the Prime Minister's department in Putrajaya between February 22nd and February 26, 2016. Dato Sri Najib was represented by lawyer Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdullah.
My client wants to tell you that he is grateful to Allah that with this decision today, because it really uplifts his spirit and the desire to fight his innocence. Because I'm confident if the new federal court re-hear the matter, we will be able to demonstrate that he is innocent.
Dato Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak's money laundering trial over 27 million ringgit in SRC international funds was heard before a new judge at the Kuala Lumpur High Court on Friday. Judge K. Muniandi replaced Muhammad Zaini Mazlan, who was promoted to the Court of Appeal. During the proceedings, Deputy Public Prosecutor Muhammad Ashraf Adrian Kamaru said both parties had previously informed the court that the trial should be postponed, as a decision on Dato Sri Najib's application for a review of his 42 million ringgit SRC international case at the federal court had not yet been made. Both the prosecution and the defence requested that the date for the management of this case be fixed in May. Muniandi then set May 29th for case management. On February 3rd, 2019, Dato Sri Najib claimed trial to 3 charges of laundering money by accepting proceeds from illegal activities amounting to 27 million ringgit through his 3 M private banking accounts. He allegedly committed the offences at M Islamic Bank in Jalan Raja Chulan on July 8, 2014, under the Anti-Money Laundering and Anti-Terrorism Financing Act 2001. He faces a maximum fine of 5 million ringgit, imprisonment of up to 5 years, or both upon conviction. Analysts are expecting the Employees Provident Fund (EPF) to pay lower dividends for 2022 when announcing its full-year performance on Saturday at 5.5%. This is due to the lower gross investment income for all 3 quarters of 2022 compared to 2021. University Malaya Business and Economic Faculty Deputy Dean of Research, Associate Professor Datin Islin Ismail, said that the possible lower dividend would also be largely due to the massive withdrawals from 2020 to early 2022 through 4 special programs.
We expect 2022 EPF dividends to come in lower than the 6.1% that was announced for the previous year in 2021. This is due to lower gross investment income for all the 3 quarters in 2022 relative to 2021. We do not expect dividends to be lower than the 5.2% that was announced in 2020, as EPF's portfolio strategy should have stabilized in the second half of 2022, as there were no more special withdrawals after the last one in the first half of 2022. However, we have yet to hear announcement of Q4 2022 performance from EPF. But if Q4 investment income comes in higher than the 15.85 billion ringgit of Q1 2022, there's a good chance of achieving 5.5% dividends for 22 or closer. Although this is lower than last year's dividends, it would still be a better return compared to other investments with similar risks such as fixed deposits, which are currently earning around 4% or lower. On the back of this week's announcement of better performance by banks in Malaysia, the outlook for EPF is seen to be optimistic.
For 2021, the EPF dividend rate stood at 6.1% for conventional savings compared to 5.2% in 2020. The EPF recorded a total gross investment income of 39.31 billion ringgit for the 9 months ended September 30th last year, down 18% or 8.71 billion ringgit from 48.02 billion ringgit recorded in the same period in 2021. Cambodia's Kem Sokha sentenced to 27 years for treason. This and more from the Foreign Front when we come back. Anger in Greece grew as authorities released audio in which a train driver involved in one of the country's worst train crashes was told to ignore a red light. Demonstrators poured onto the streets after the head-on collision between a passenger train carrying more than 350 people and a freight train occurred on Tuesday. After a train station manager in Larissa was arrested in connection to the collision, Greek authorities on Thursday made public striking dispatch recordings that show one of the train drivers receiving instructions to ignore a red light. In a second conversation, the station master can be heard ordering an employee to keep one of the trains on the same track. The station master has been charged with mass deaths through negligence and causing grievous bodily harm through negligence. Upon arrest, he blamed the collision on a technical fault, although later admitted to making a mistake. The death toll from the crash rose to 57 late on Thursday, while another 48 remained in hospital. Prominent Cambodian opposition figure Kem Sokha was sentenced to 27 years of house arrest on Friday and is also barred from any political action by a local court. He was sentenced after being found guilty of hatching a secret plan in collusion with foreign entities to topple the government of longtime Prime Minister Hun Sen upon his arrest in 2017. The judge at the Phnom Penh Municipal Court told the former president of the Cambodian National Rescue Party that he would be banned from politics and voting in elections indefinitely. Immediately after the verdict at the Phnom Penh court, he was placed under house arrest and banned from meeting foreigners and anyone who is not a family member without the permission of the court. Kem Sokha has repeatedly denied the charges against him, which rights groups say were designed to bar him from politics ahead of July's elections. Philippine Environment and Disaster Management authorities rushed on Friday to contain an oil spill from a sunken fuel tanker that had reached the shorelines of several coastal towns in oriental Mindoro province. Authorities said the slick off Mindoro Island stretched for 120 kilometers and was about 9 kilometers offshore. Coast Guard spokesman Armando Balilo said rough seas have prevented the deployment of oil spill booms to stop the toxic material from spreading. The tanker MT Princess Empress was en route to Iloilo province in central Philippines with 20 crew members and about 800,000 litres of industrial fuel oil on board when it encountered engine trouble on Tuesday. As of Friday, authorities said they were still trying to locate the sunken vessel while assessing the extent of the spill, adding that there might still be a substantial volume of oil inside. Kumata's brace in the second half helped Japan to fight back from behind and beat China 2-1 in the Group D match on Friday in the AFC Under-20 Asian Cup Uzbekistan 2023, Tashkent. The Chinese had been defending doggedly since taking the lead in the 6th minute when Ifeding Asika's corner from the left was swung towards the 6-yard box, and with Liu Haofan rising in front of him, Tanaka headed into his own net. The Japanese were unable to find a way though in what remained of the half until 21 minutes after the second half. Substitutes Kodai Sano and Naoki Kumata combined for both goals. The first coming in the 66th minute when Kumata rose highest to meet Sano's centre from the left, the forward heading back across goalkeeper Li Hao to score. 4 minutes later, the same pair undid the Chinese again, as another ball from Sano on the left initially invited Kumata into an attempted scissor kick that failed. However, the forward was quickest to reach the loose ball and pushed his shot over the line. A clumsy foul on Kumata earned the Japanese a penalty late in the game, but Matsuki's spot kick was saved by Li Hao, but Takoshi's side still emerged with the win. after this breather. 3 drug syndicates crippled as drugs worth 2 billion ringgit seized. Three drug syndicates in the Klang Valley have been crippled with drugs worth 2 million ringgit seized in the Op Tapis Has crackdown from February 27th to March the 1st. Kuala Lumpur Police Chief Dato Azmi Abu Qasim said that out of the 3 syndicates that were crippled, police detained 6 suspects consisting of 5 men and a woman aged 21 to 44. He said the syndicates were busted with the help of the Narcotics Crime Investigation Department of the Kuala Lumpur Contingent and the Narcotics Crime Investigation Division of Sentul Police. Dato Azmi said the total value of drug seizures amounted to 2 million ringgit. He said that all suspects were remanded for 7 days from the date of the arrest and investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952. According to Dato Azmi, these syndicates have been operating for the past 3 months and police are still investigating the case to detect other members involved. The Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court on Friday allowed the temporary release of former Pulau Pinang Chief Minister Lim Guan Eng's passport to enable him to travel to Singapore to attend his uncle's funeral. Judge Azura Alwi allowed the application after hearing the arguments of lawyer Shafiqah Sophia, who represented Lim, and Deputy Public Prosecutor Farah Yasmin Saleh. However, the court said that the passport must be returned within 5 days from March the 5th. Earlier, Shafiqah argued that her client is not a flight risk, as he is well known and also subject to a high bail of 1 million ringgit, adding that he has always attended trial proceedings, except for sickness or when needed to attend a parliament session. Lim, aged 62, is currently being tried on an amended charge of accepting a bribe, and he is also facing 2 charges for causing land lots to be disposed of to 2 companies allegedly linked to the undersea tunnel project. Creative director Matthew M. Williams focused on dresses at the French fashion house's fall runway show at Paris Fashion Week on Thursday, sending out a lineup of long gowns that swept the runway. Let's take a look at the timeless fashion as we wrap up Nightline this time around. I'm Adrian Seet. Thank you for watching. Stay safe and have a great weekend.